What's going on, you guys? Jeff with Burley Fishing here, and welcome back to the Monster Bass channel. Today, I want to talk to you about an amazing spring technique that you need to be trying right this second if you want to be getting on some monster bass. That technique is shallow cranking or jerkbait fishing. So today, we're going to be talking mainly about this guy right here. This is the B8Lab Fyre Shad, Fyre. And actually, we had a similar bait from B8Lab last year called the Rocket Shad. That's this guy right here. Both similar techniques, one more meant for around heavy cover rock and timber in rivers especially, and around docks and things like that where big bass are hiding, and one that works just about anywhere. So Rocket Shad is the cover one. Fyre Shad, you can throw just about anywhere. Both elongated crankbaits essentially is what they call them. I call them downsized jerkbaits. They work the same. You can crank them, you can jerk them, you can do all sorts of stuff with them. We're going to be talking about these today. Before we get into it, if you guys like the content, you should subscribe to the Monster Bass channel. We're starting to run more giveaways. We've got tons of great creators dropping awesome content and tips and tricks and techniques to put you on big bass every single month. So we encourage you to stick around. Subscribe, smash a like on this video. That helps us out a ton. And then ring that notification bell so you can see when we drop more videos. They're coming at you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we do a live with Rick every single week. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Oh, also, I have a channel too if you want to check it out. If you guys would be so kind, hop over to Burley Fishing and you can subscribe, smash a like on any of those videos. Just hit me up in the comments. Let me know that you came over from the Monster Bass channel so I can say hi. Thanks a lot. Okay, so let's focus in on this bait here. So this is the Fyre Shad. This is coming to you in some of the regions. Now, I'm from the Midwest Great Lakes region, so this is a northern region for me. If you're in the Northeast, you might see this. If you're in the Northwest, you might see this. If you're in the Midwest, you'll definitely see this because that's where I'm from. But the Fyre Shad comes in this like gold shinery looking color. It looks awesome. Got that goldish hue throughout, little pearl translucent belly, amber to dark orange front, and the big black eyes there. Obviously the shallow lip that's also narrow tapered so that you can do some twitching action with it. And then we've got the dark amber top. Now, the design is great. It's got some flash to it. I think it looks good for right now, spring season. We're throwing those like red, orange hues. They tend to pop more in the colors. And if you guys don't know or are unaware of this, bass can key in or see on their color spectrum red and orange a little bit better than other colors. And especially where I'm at, we're getting a lot of that snow melt, spring runoff, ground thaw. So we're getting the dark, muddy, murky, cloudy, stained water. It's more dark than it's going to be the rest of the year. And the vegetation is really low too. So throwing something like this up shallow, when our fish are pushing up shallow and they're pushing the bait fish up shallow, we get a lot of wind in the spring as well. So what that'll do is push those bait fish up. Our bass are feeding up shallow. This happens a lot. And in the spring, we're looking for where the warmer water is. So that warmer water is going to be in the shallower water. So our creeks, shallow sections of the river, and then shallower bank areas of our lakes. So that's typically where I'm fishing. Now, a crankbait that's going to dive less than 5 feet, this guy right here, and is a floating crankbait, is going to be great. The beautiful thing about this Fyre Shad though is that it's also a jerkbait. So you can use it for reactions in general. I can crank it through shallow cover, along grass lines, whatever grass lines I can find, through the rock and rubble. I was fishing it just yesterday. I like the action of it. Tough day of fishing. We really didn't get on anything unless we were just dead sticking a Ned rig or a drop shot. So, it wasn't this bait's fault, but I did like the action that I saw with it. Tried twitching it a little bit. It's got a nice subtle twitch action to it, being a smaller jerkbait design, but just straight slow retrieving this, slow rolling this through cover and around whatever cover you can find, looked really good. So highly recommend that. Now, with this type of bait, or even that Rocket Shad, I'm gonna be throwing them on a very similar setup. My go-to setups right now, I've got 2 of them, are both going to be a medium powered rod with a moderate to fast action tip. Now, moderate is definitely more ideal. This here is a Akuma Serrano. This is the blue rod on my wall. Every single video I do, I get comments on this thing. So it's a very good looking setup. But one of the amazing things about this rod is that this tip action's nuts. Like it brings your backbone a little bit further down. So this is close to like a moderate to fast action tip. And the point of that is that you have, I've got a jerkbait on here already, 2 to 3 trebles right, on this jerkbait. If you have too heavy a power rod or too fast an action tip, it's very easy to just rip all those trebles right out of the bass. And you'd be thinking like, yo, there's 9 hooks here. How could I possibly miss this bite? You can. So you don't want to be throwing this on a heavy power rod. Lighten it up and you're going to be much happier. Same with cranking, same idea. Like slower to moderate action rods will be awesome. And I really like the medium power for it too. What it really allows me to do with that softer tip is I'm able to really lean into my hook sets and then work the fish back to the boat more easily. More importantly, it'll do less harm to the fish and I won't lose the fish at the boat, as you tend to see on like a lot of lipless bites and sometimes crankbait bites or jerkbait bites. That said, I also prefer to use like a 7:3 to 1 or a mid-range reel gear ratio. That's gonna allow me to work that bait a lot better. Having that mid-range gear ratio means I can do all sorts of stuff with my action. I can twitch, pause. I can reel in the case of an elongated shallow crank. I can just slow retrieve it. So I can just vary up that pace. It's easier to work it on a mid-range gear ratio versus a slower gear ratio or a high gear ratio. So that's just typically the way that I go. That Serrano, by the way, was a 7'3". This is my other favorite setup, quickly becoming my favorite setup. It's actually got a chatterbait on here right now. But it's a 7'5" guide select from Akuma. The reason I love throwing it on this rod is this is a medium power. It's a 7'5", allows me a greater casting distance. With a longer rod, I can also work the bait a little bit more, so twitching action is even better, and cranking is a little bit easier to do as well. So really like throwing it on this right now. I got this paired up again with a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio. This is the Helios from Akuma. Just a super smooth reel. Again, like rods and reels, it's all personal preference, so I'm just calling out what I have. You guys fish what you want to fish. You want to fish a lose? Do the lose. Like whatever you got, use it. But I highly recommend you go to a longer rod, medium powered, with a moderate to fast action tip that's more plush, right? A more whippy rod. You're gonna enjoy it a lot more. It's gonna make it easier to work the baits too. As far as line goes, doesn't really matter. If you wanna go with a mono backer, straight fluoro, or you wanna go straight braid, just make sure you throw a leader on it. So typically I'll go braid backer. So I've got like 20-pound braid on those 2 setups because they're my lighter rods for cranking. And then I'll go to a fluorocarbon leader. And typically that leader is going to be like a 12 or 15-pound fluorocarbon leader. So that allows me to go around cover, pull through grass and weed cover a little bit easier if I get stuck or hung up in that. And most importantly, because I'm fishing in the shallower water with this and you've got a little more visibility there for the fish, I'm going to the fluorocarbon because it's invisible underwater. So highly recommend you do the fluorocarbon leader. If you don't, I guarantee you're missing fish. So if you're not comfortable doing like a braid to fluorocarbon knot, one, look up YouTube videos, get better at it. If you really still don't like it, then just throw a swivel in there. It doesn't matter too much. But having at least 3 foot of leader there is going to enhance your bite ratio just because the fish are not going to be seeing that line. So highly recommend that. All right, so since office videos are no fun, let's go hit the water real quick so you guys can see what the action of this bait looks like when you're actually fishing it. Let's go. All right, we good. All right, you guys, so we got some pretty stained water, lots of bait fish popping, as you can see. Got some growth now, vegetation coming in. It's April 4th, it's actually Easter today. But here's that B8Lab's Fyre Shad. It's a floating, small size jerk or reaction bait, however you want to think about it. Got it set up on that Akuma Serrano combo. It's a medium rod, medium power rod with a fast tip that acts like a slow tip, essentially. This tip moves like crazy. So because this is a 1 to 3 foot diver, even though it does have pretty good rattle to it, we're gonna be moving off to some shallower water. So like right off the edge here is about 2-3 feet. I'm at about 12 feet right here. Bumping some vegetation, that's what we want. So I'm gonna be fishing around the vegetation lines, and you'll see like, here, let me see if I can give you guys a view. You can see the action of it. You can reel it like a crankbait really well, but you can also twitch it. Let's try a little reel retrieve. Because I'm coming up on some solid vegetation lines here. I've also, of course, got this leader line on here, so I'm running braid backer fluoro leader. But let's check out the twitch. Let me give some line here, a little twitch. So you can see it still reacts, you know, it moves around pretty well on a twitch. I think for the most part I would run this like a small crank and maybe just pause and let it float. So you just vary up that retrieve. And you'll see it floats pretty fast. So it's kind of like a real brief pause. We got pretty stained water right here. I think this color looks good though. In the stained water, it's got some flash to it. All right, so there you have it. That is the Fyre Shad from B8Lab. If you haven't, you can also check out the Rocket Shad, equally great. Something a little bit better around cover versus the Fyre Shad, but both are amazing shallow cranking options as well as reaction or jerkbait options. So just make sure you're trying out different things. I highly recommend adding these smaller jerkbaits or reaction baits to your arsenal versus your big old like 110 sizers. So if you're not getting bit on those big jerk baits, try downsizing to something like that Fyre Shad and you'll probably get bit. All right guys, take those tips, get out on the water, go catch your PB and make sure you're having some fun doing it. Fishing should be a great time for you, your family, your friends, everybody to get involved. That's what we advocate here at Monster Bass. So hey, thanks for watching the video today, you guys. Again, be sure to subscribe to Monster Bass if you want to see more like this and if you want to qualify for some of our giveaways. I'd also appreciate it if you go check out Burley Fishing, drop me a like and maybe a subscribe if you like the content there too. You guys are awesome. Stay tuned for our other lives and videos we drop every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I also go live on Burley Fishing at 8 p.m. Eastern every Thursday, right after Monster Bass goes live, so feel free to hop from stream to stream. Continue the party on Thursday nights. We'd love to see you there and talk to you in chat. And make sure you join Rick's VIP list in the link below so that you'll know when we're dropping new products, when we've got mad discounts coming out, and when we do new giveaways. Thanks a lot for watching again, you guys. Hopefully you're having a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.